Okay, after a router reset later, we are back with Bad Cop. Speaking of which, what's with the name? How'd you come up with Badcop69?
Well, one of my favorite movies, the first movie I could ever remember liking as a kid was the movie The Road Warrior, or Mad Max 2 for those of you
Ah,
overseas. The Marauders, or the guys who were usually chasing Max throughout most of the movie that comprised of most of Lord Humongous's army, I later found out were called bad cops, although they're also
ah,
called yeah, and so I always liked their design. I never realized they had like cricket, the with the low budget and stuff. They had cricket shin guards that I always liked that they wore, along with, of course, the cod piece and stuff. So I
yeah.
always liked their design. And so when I signed up for DeviantArt, I wanted to bring my love of Mad Max, no matter how slightly obscure it was, with me. So I brought that name on, and unfortunately somebody else had picked Bad Cop a long time ago, so Badcop69 was the only one that was available. So not really thinking about the connotations that it could have, I thought, what's a couple numbers beyond my character?
Yeah,
So,
I was just, it was just one of those things I was curious about, but hey, Mad Max reference and learn something new every day.
oh
Hey,
yeah.
but anyway, let's get beyond the Thunderdome and I'm, I'm sorry. Whenever you mention
We
Mad
had,
Max, you have to mention the Thunderdome. You
oh
just can't
yes,
get
oh
beyond
yes.
it. No pun intended. Yeah, I'm
Neither
pretty sure
Billy
we're both excited for the new
Gibson.
Mad Max game. I'm also excited for the new Wasteland game that's going to be coming out. Finally, a sequel to what essentially started, Fallout. The original,
Uh,
yeah, the original Wasteland was like, I think it was on the Commodore 64 or some of the,
yeah, that's what I'd heard, yeah.
yeah, and now they're making a new one. Awesome! I know I just can't wait to see Lazy Game Reviews, review of Wasteland, the original.
Right?
Have you seen Lazy Game Reviewer?
I can't say that I have, but if you're recommending them, I'll
Oh
certainly
yeah, I
check them
recommend
out.
him. He likes to do the old school computers. I mean, he has like all sorts of old like Macintoshes, Microsofts. He's got the like Commodores.
Nice.
He likes the old school stuff. Also, big Sims fan. He's a big
Ah,
Duke Nukem fan as well. And later on uh he starts talking like this with the Duke Nukem voice. He's got balls of steel. And he actually does a pretty good
it's
job.
good. Balls of steel.
Duke Nukem. Terrible,
Oh, yeah.
terrible game with Duke Nukem Forever. I mean, I had some enjoyment out of it when I just pretty much lowered my expectations to like, it's gonna suck anyway. I might as well get some enjoyment out of it. And when you look at it that way, it's okay. Except for the scene with the twins about to die from alien explosion and him just going, "You are fucked." I'm just like, no, no, dude, that's not cool, man. I'm like, that's like one of the few things I will agree with Ania Sarkeesian on. That scene,
Right.
yeah, I'm not
Actually,
gonna.
me and my fiance are huge fans of Duke Nukem Forever. Um, I've always been an old school fan of his ever since Duke Nukem 3D came out.
That's the one that set him. Hold on, one moment.
Let's
Okay,
rough
we are
time because
back. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, people. Although then again, it was just a jump cut. It's just like, hold on a sec. Boop. Okay, and we're back. Thank you,
well,
pause buttons for recordings.
right.
Yeah. So you're an old
Duke,
school Duke Nukem fan. Yeah.
Duke was the first time I ever messed with mods at all because somebody made this fantastic Robotech mod. And again, I grew up with PBS, so I grew up with Robotech, whereas most of the rest of the world grew up with the superior Macross saga. And so somebody actually like made reskinned Duke's arms and made the guns that the Valkyries hold, and just and even remade the pig cops to be the Zentradi battle pods, and the way that it was animated and everything, it was just so, I was like, oh, this is so awesome. So
I know.
I played the game through vanilla, and then I had to play it again as the Robotech mod. And I was like, damn, I love that. And that started off my love of modding PC games, which continues even to this day.
Yeah, you gotta just love how creative some people have been. I played Skyrim mods where I played in a story where what's the name of the people who follow Meru Dagon in the Oblivion? The Mythic Dawn, yeah. The Mythic Dawn come back in Skyrim, and you have to infiltrate their ranks, and you have to do missions, and you can get, like, depending on how you act, you get a certain bonus in the end. There are plenty of ways to do stuff, too. And I'm just thinking, this mod is the equivalent of, like, actual DLC. Like, it's its own story, great voice acting, its own mechanics and rewards, and you also have the ability to get a copy of Meru Dagon's dagger. It's a fake one, but it has the same properties. So, dual-wielding daggers! Woo woo wah! Dual-wield insta-kill daggers. Oh,
Skyrim's got I really want a mod because I saw this car mod that somebody made for Skyrim, and I started looking at the car that they used, and it actually reminded me of Evil Dead. So I was like,
groovy.
I would love to seriously make like an Army of Darkness mod for Skyrim where you'd have the chainsaw hand and you'd have the boomstick,
Actually,
and then you'd have
Ash. For Fallout. I think it would do better in Fallout and make, you know, the zombies ghouls, but alter the ghoul skin a bit. Be a little more Evil Dead zombie-like. That might work a little better. No.
The Daedrix actually look like Deadites, though, oftentimes.
That is true. And it just sort of
depends at least
on
how
you look at it. Do you want it to be more, you know, gunplay? Because, you know, Fallout makes more sets and it'll be easier to program. Or do you want to go with Oblivion, with Skyrim, which has better, you know, lookalikes for the zombies?
Yeah. That's always the thing that kind of sucks sometimes with modding. It's always, sometimes there's always loss if you have a grand mod that you're trying to work with. I remember the one mod that I really started to somewhat make a name for myself for was on Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where, you know, we had the ability with hitchable trailers now in a Grand Theft Auto game, which lent itself to Mad Max, you know, with the whole tanker and everything. But, you know, with it came certain restrictions that actually, in fact, to this day, I still get hate for the fact that a lot of the Australian cars, because the cars in Mad Max were all Australian, meaning that they're, I may mix this up, but I believe they're left-hand drive, where their driver's seat and there is in the passenger seat, and here in America.
I believe that is how it works. I know that's the case in Japan and Europe. I never quite understood that. I mean, never understood why you would want to drive on the left side of the road than the right. I mean, then again, they would be like, what's with the crazy Americans driving on the right side of the road? What a bunch of backwards dicks.
Exactly. Yeah. It is crazy when you see all those differences. But the problem we found with CJ was he was animated for right-hand drive. So no matter where we situate the car, CJ would start phasing through the doors of the cars if we tried to do the proper Australian driver's side on our mods. But I get I get where people are coming from, but people would attack me or my team. So like, you're trying to Americanize Mad Max. How dare you, sir? And I'm like,
No,
dude,
there's limitations.
yeah.
I've seen
I'm
some
like, this is limitation.
there are mods in Skyrim that give you guns, but the problem is that they're using the crossbow animation, so they're still limited by that. You don't get Fallout style guns. And so,
Yeah, or like with Fallout, with people were trying to add vehicles in Fallout, but all they could do was use modded walk cycles. From the last I'd heard about people modding Fallout 3. Maybe that's changed, but
yeah, I mean, there's so many. That's the problem when it comes to modders. I mean, modders can do a lot, but you can't go beyond the limitations of the hardware.
now, here's something maybe you could help me understand. Maybe you can't. Just as a quick sidebar here. Oftentimes I see people who pull this thing, they're like, well, I don't mod my games. In fact, I hate mods. I'm like, why? People are creating free content for you that you can choose to extend the life of your game, and you hate them?
Exactly. Yeah, that's...
I don't understand that mentality.
I can't tell you why people would think that. I mean, take the game Minecraft. Minecraft on its own would have died if not for the modding community. I'm not going to lie and say that vanilla Minecraft best thing ever. After a while, vanilla Minecraft gets boring and repetitive. But when you add the literally thousands of mods you could put into Minecraft, you got endless potential for stories, adventures. There's machinima, you got, all sorts of group things going on. I mean, there's a modded game type where you can play Mine Z. It's like DayZ, only with Minecraft and everything. And let me tell you, it is a bitch when you find an awesome sword and armor that will protect you, and then the guy who you thought was your friend takes you, backstabs you and takes everything.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the cool thing is that when you die, a zombie will take your place, and it will have all the gear on, so... Joke's on him.
Right.
But that's the idea. You see, people can get creative with their game types. And take like...
Oh, yeah.
Take like Civ 5 right now. There's plenty of mods for that. I've seen like Dragon Age mods. I've seen Game of Thrones civilizations. I've seen My Little Pony civilizations. And I do plan to do a Let's Play where I'm playing the Nation of Princess Twilight Sparkle versus the Changelings.
No.
That's good.
Oh, I would definitely tune in for that. That sounds like that would be...
There are so many different... That's the beauty of mods. Mods extend the lifespan of games. Just look at Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem Forever would have been a great game on its own, but the fact that they had such a good modding community made it so popular that it just, it puts it from here to here.
Oh, yeah.
And it basically also gives, developers incentive to work with the players. Some developers get the modders to help them on projects and get some ideas and so on. Faster Than Light, for example, had a great modding community and made the game even more popular. That's how I got my start. Alright, because I did Faster Than Light mod videos. In fact, I was like the third most popular guy to look at on the Faster Than Light forums. The other two being Ginger Dragon and... Oh, I can never forget... I can always forget the third guy. Vanguard of Valor. Both decent Let's Players. I definitely say a lot better than me. Yeah, but enough about me and so on. So what games do you like to play in your spare time when you're not making videos?
Well, as you've been hearing from my vitriol, I just finished up Grand Theft Auto 5, but I'm generally an all-around gamer in general. Like, sometimes I'm really into RTSs, but sometimes then I get really into FPSs, and then sometimes I like the third-person perspective shooters. Other times I really want to be inside the head of the characters, and sometimes it's just sort of the mood that I'm in on a lot of things, or what I can do with some of those games. And then I'm an old school gamer, so I'm for the things that I can't physically own, at least, or that would bankrupt me, like the arcades, I do a lot of emulation play through
Thank
like MAME and
you,
stuff.
emulation and re-releases.
Yes.
I also know that you've been
Yes.
enjoying Animal Crossing. Oh,
Oh gosh. Yes. I cannot get enough of this game, and it's every day I at least try to check in at least once, pull some weeds, and then see what's new in the shops and
I
test
know.
my
And
luck with the.
also, I just love Animal Crossing. I played it on the GameCube when I was a kid. It was my, I think it was my,
Oh, lucky.
I think it was my third game. The first one being Mario Sunshine, second being Smash Bros. And Animal Crossing was the third, and that one I played the most because
Nice.
the characters were just so endearing. I loved everybody, even Tom Nook. I liked.
But
I liked.
surprising. He's like one of the.
I know he's like one of
He's
those
usually.
characters. But he's a business owner. I kind of understood that he needs he's a money man. I love Tortimer. I love Pelly. I love
Oh yeah.
the Sable and Abel. I loved everybody. And then the other games I started to enjoy, but I miss City Folk because I was getting out of the Wii. And then I got this just a couple of days ago, and God, it makes me feel like a kid again every time I look at everything.
And I mean, speaking of mods, the QR code thing that you can do in here is incredible. And actually, I'm working currently on a secret project of sorts, where I'm trying to make these these scorch marks, because one of my people moved out, and I can't seem to get people to move in, even though I've got a perfect town rating. So then I built what they call a fenced-in area, and it looks like the framework of a house. So me and my infinite creativity, I'm going to try to add a little touch of odd reality. I'm going to have an old burned out house ruins that I'm going to create myself in my town to sort of add its own sort of visual interest to things.
Interesting. I'm that's actually really interesting. Yeah. I love games that let you be creative. Minecraft, Sims, Civilization lets you be creative in how you want to deal with your problems. It's like, oh sure, you can nuke them, but a funnier thing to do is build cities around the people so that your influence is like constricting them.
Right?
Oh, I used to do that a lot in Age of Empires too. I would find the enemy town, just put a bunch of guard towers in, just watch them try to leave.
Nice.
Oh man, their peasants were all pin cushions at the end of the day.
One of my favorite RTSs from back in the day was the Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, I think it was, that had 2 iterations of it. And I bought both of them. And what I would do is I'd push my PCs very hard, because I would just build these impossible Imperial fortresses, and then I'd make a small rebel force in the side of the map and make that the computer, and then just have it try to attack. Because they'd breach one wall after a few hours just to find another wall, and I'm like, I could just imagine like a rage face comic book face on these characters, like, another wall.
Yeah, I know. I can already see that now. It's like, with Luke Skywalker, it's like, Luke, you breached the first wall. Yeah, but it's like, fuck! What is it, Luke? There's another wall! And then it shows everybody in, like, the control room, like Princess Leia and everybody with all a rage face.
Yeah,
Make it so, people. Make it so. Or no, wait. Instead, make it so Luke blows up the Death Star, and then there's another Death Star right behind it. And then it's like, fuck! Right there. Rage comic. Right there. When it came to Star Wars RTSs, the only one I got was Star Wars Battlefront. Not Battlefront, Empires at War.
Oh, yeah. I heard that one was really good. I actually had it
I got them both.
my playlist.
I actually rather like the Force of Corruptions expansion pack, because you have to play as, like, what is it? You're playing you're playing Tiber Zan, and I can't remember what it's called. Something. It's like you're not exactly. You kind of work with the Huts occasionally, and you're like a criminal overlord. You're working behind the
Oh,
scenes
no.
and screwing with everyone. Hell, you can get
Oh, that's...
IG-88, the robot assassin, and have
Yeah.
it control the Death Star to blow up any planet you want. That is
Really?
so fun to do. You can only use it once, but it is so satisfying when you use it against someone
Seems to
you
me,
do not
though,
like.
remembering the history of IG-88s and the other IGs, I think giving them a Death Star to run around in the galaxy with would be the last thing you'd want to do.
I know. I like Star Wars. I love the whole extended universe
Oh,
and
yeah.
the different stories. Hell, here's a tidbit.
Absolutely.
Boba Fett, not once but twice, fought Darth Vader with a lightsaber. That is friggin'
Damn.
awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how do you make
What
Boba
did
Fett
you...
more awesome? Give him a lightsaber.
Lightsaber. What did you think of what was the mini series afterwards? I believe it was called the Dark Empire saga. That was
I
like
have not
set
seen
right.
that.
I like it, and I honestly I would really dig a video if they went with that one, because before the prequels, this started us on the road to figuring out about not just clones, but the fact that the Emperor has clones, because the dark side force is so powerful with him that his bodies degrade.
Well, it makes sense. It would explain a lot. Would explain the fugly face.
Well, yeah, it goes a long way
I think
to
the Star
explain
Wars.
that. Yeah.
I think the Star Wars prequels aren't that bad. I mean, they're not. I mean, they're not as good as the originals by any sake. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say that at least it's not the Christmas special. At least
Yes,
it's not the
and that's
holiday
saying a lot.
special. I mean, the holiday special is so bad it requires Santa Christ to get rid of that.
You mean the thing that Lucas refuses to admit even exists?
I know, right? He's willing to fed Jar Jar Binks, Indiana Jones being in a fridge to survive a nuclear explosion, and
Fridge.
Howard the Duck. But he is not willing to admit exists.
Right?
That
You'd
is...
think he'd have fish to fry on that.
And I did like the Star Wars Clone Wars, TV series. I mean, okay, CGI looks a little silly, but the stories are pretty good, especially when it didn't focus on Anakin, when it focuses on the clone troopers or other characters.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you almost have to, because I liked the series, but part of it was, after watching Episode 3, it was just kind of hard to buy Anakin as a hero, even though he had decades worth of being a hero, because it's just like...
Though it does actually...
There was this guy...
Though later on, in the later seasons, it does actually explore his dark side and so on. And even Ahsoka starting to realize that he's going to be corrupted, and it actually ends with her leaving the Jedi Order. A self-banishment, which would explain why she's not around to be killed. Because that was one big question a lot of people had. I mean, we know Anakin's going to go cut people's heads off of his lightsaber when he goes there. We know what he's about to do. So we have to know what happened to his Padawan. I guess he was just retconned into the next movie. I wouldn't be surprised if they retcon her into the next movie. They're just gonna have Ahsoka Tano in. By the way,
interesting.
If Disney owns Star Wars, does that make Princess Leia a Disney princess?
That's where things tend to be going with, it seems to be. She'll now be part of that mythos. I've seen a lot of fan art, both in support of and kind of making jokes about that fact.
I have too. There are obviously going to be people taking sides, but I think it's mostly a good consensus.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd honestly love to see a Star Wars world in Kingdom Hearts, because I think that would be cool to see.
I was
all
just
the different, like the different
yeah.
Keyblade and everything.
Yeah, I was just was actually at a GameStop a few days. I was just talking to one of the guys there about it, and we pretty much said best way to make people buy the next Kingdom Hearts game: give Sora a Keyblade lightsaber. That's it.
Oh, hell yeah!
I mean, and maybe
I
give him a
actually have been
when he goes into the next world, give him a costume so he looks like Clone Wars era Jedi Knight. That would look awesome.
right.
With the cloak and everything. And then the Keyblade's like, and for some reason it has like the little key prongs.
Mhm.
Don't even know how that's
It
possible.
could, well, I mean, technically, when you really think about it, the lightsaber is improbable in and of itself because
Yeah, where does
you
it
can't
contain
stop.
it? You can't contain it. I mean, if it was
Yeah,
like a
because the
little
blade.
glass dome, yeah, it would make sense. But how would you swing it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I actually been contemplating because I collected a lot of production art for Kingdom Hearts. I've actually been I've been playing around with doing some hand-drawn art again where I actually do imagine what it would be like to have Kingdom Hearts Star Wars in there since Disney may not do that with the next Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it might be too late to do it because of development. You know.
True, true.
Because a lot of people, don't always realize that development tends to take a long time. Call of Duty
Oh, yeah.
notwithstanding. Seriously, Call of Duty needs to stop putting out a thing every year. Take a break. Like stop making games for 2 years, then come back big and strong. I think that would
Oh,
help.
but come on, Bren. The new Call of Duty's got a dog.
Yeah, so what? The new Battlefield's got a new cat, but you don't see them bragging about it.
I'm surprised they haven't, frankly.
That actually would be kind of a fun way to see them fight each other. You don't see, like, you know, commercials where two companies are, fighting each other when it comes to gaming nowadays. Remember the old Sega versus
Right.
Nintendo? We all laugh about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
You don't see that anymore.
Especially now that you got Sonic and Nintendo games where it's like, wow, this feels wrong somehow.
I actually have to agree to that. I mean, could you just imagine going into like '99 and then going to like a big Nintendo fan and say, "Hey, did you know that Sonic's gonna be part of Nintendo?" They'll probably
Oh,
flip their shit. They
oh
will
yeah.
flip their shit. Just going like, "Wah!" Yeah.
Probably though a good case for what fun one could have with time travel if we can figure out going backwards.
Oh, I would just love. No. Here's what I would. If I had a TARDIS, I would love to actually go back in time to any of Ania Sarkeesian's conferences with my wooden sword and just go. When she's announcing all her stuff, I'd just be like, ahem. And I just hold up all these documents of explaining all her wrongdoings. Like, you guys might want to read this.
Right?
Although, on the other hand, if I stopped her, then my documents would instantly disappear because, due to a time paradox, so that probably wouldn't
It
work.
could.
I mean, when you think about it, if you go back in time, you can't change anything because time would have dictated that you already went back to do your events to help with the past. I mean,
Well, that's one theorem is that that there, in a way, there is no grandfather paradox, so to speak, which is what a lot of time travel critics in the physics world try to bring up. Because if you were to able to go back in time, somehow it was already set, like you're saying, it was already set in time that you were supposed to go back at that specific time and come back to that specific moment. But what a lot of string theorists have been talking about is that how the universe deals with paradoxes is that it just, everything is always, because of multiple universes, everything is always branching off.
yeah.
So history is always set in stone, in other words. Lincoln, like for instance, let's take death of Abraham Lincoln. You could, in theory, go back in time and prevent the death of Abraham Lincoln, but the problem is our Lincoln from our timeline will always die. He is
So
never
pretty
going
much
to not
what
possess
happens is
by
that it's like a bunch of
you
different
switch to an
streams.
alternate.
I'm just going down a
Yeah,
different stream now. I guess that makes sense. And would you
yeah,
say that deja vu is pretty much when these like timelines cross on a certain point, and that's why you feel like, wow, I feel like I've done this before. It's just your other you
right.
also doing the same thing you did.
Which, yeah, yeah. And so, in other words, like from then on, we would be dealing with if you saved Lincoln, you'd be dealing with alternate reality Lincoln or alternate timeline Lincoln. You would not be dealing with our Lincoln because our Lincoln will always die. At least that's the theory. But then again, there's a lot of theories, as I said, that say that we can't go back in time. But then you've got professors like Lawrence Krauss that say, well, technically there's nothing in the laws of physics that say we can't. We just don't have the math to back it up at this
Yeah, it's
time.
just basically, it's a theory. We have ideas. It's a theory in the sense of it's a theory, not a scientific theory. It's a fact, but can still be altered depending on new inputted data. I mean, ugh. Why do
Yeah.
people not get
And
that anyway? That what a difference between a regular theory and a scientific theory? Though, then again,
well,
calling it a theory in anything usually is going to give you trouble.
true. Well, actually, I did a video that actually is uploading as we speak about a new study that came out that showed that if you are an anti-vaccination individual, then there's you're 3 times as likely to also believe simultaneously that, for instance, the moon landing was a hoax. And I always thought that conspiracy theories kind of existed in their own bubbles, that there was no connections you could make outside of like really stretching the boundaries of what reality is about. But, and what this is this goes into a larger study that's going on into science denialism. Because, I mean, this relates to the 9/11 truthers. This relates to the Holocaust deniers. This relates to climate change deniers. This relates to the anti-GMO movement people. And it's interesting that I never thought they could be umbrellaed in any way, but this new study that's come out that I present actually shows that they kind of can.
Yeah, I like to think that, conspiracy theories is just modern day myths. You know how, like, the ancient Greeks had all these different stories of, like, hey, you ever remember that story of, like, that woman who fell in love with a cow that was actually Zeus? It's like, oh, yeah, didn't that give birth to the Minotaur? Well, these are just the modern day mythology. It makes sense
Yeah.
now that you think about it, because what is a myth than something to explain something? Like, what are the stars? A bunch of angels. Angels, just there to explain it. The unexplained. Except that conspiracy theories are more entertaining. Because, let's face it, there are crazy, crazy conspiracies that we could go on about all day.
Absolutely.
Like, my favorite, when Halo 4 came out on the day that you could do, on the on voting day, people thought that, oh, it's to get the young people out of voting. I'm just like, are you serious? Why would they do that? It would be much easier to do it if you put Call of Duty out. That would get the young people to not vote.
Oh, yeah. Like, oh, crap, man, I'm supposed to vote. Dang it, I want a prestige.
Exactly. So, you also said you're an anime fan. Why don't we move the conversation in? So, what do you like in terms of anime?
I tend to be very eclectic. I grew up I grew up, of course, on Robotech, which actually ignited my love of anime, because I never knew that there was such a thing as animation styles and things, even though Robotech was obviously, even if it was a bastardized anime, it was still an anime. And it had a style and art direction all its own when you compare it to, like, the Hanna-Barberas that a lot of us grew up on and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. It was just, it was like living your whole life on porridge and then suddenly eating chocolate cake. Your senses are just like, what the hell is this? I want more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so from there, like, I eventually, like outside of Robotech, my love of things stagnated because, in a lot of ways I didn't have the internet. I also didn't have a lot of friends or even a lot of friends who were into anime. So I wasn't directly exposed to it till my mom got me into collecting comic books. And I like how she did it too. She put in my stockings comic book trading cards at the time. So that when I unwrapped these, I'm like, what are these characters and these drawings?
And
She was like, oh, well, those are comics.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah. And so she was like, well, if you want to know more, I could take you to the comic shop. I'm like, lead the way. And so from there, like, while I was discovering the wonders, or at least what I felt were the wonders of X-Men and Superman and Spider-Man, I was also finding, all these Battle Angel Alita, and a lot of these just really interesting, hardcore cyberpunk ones, and that led to the gateway drug, as it is with things. I think after Robotech, it was definitely Bubblegum Crisis, Ghost in the Shell for me. I had this one called, what is that? M66, which sort of has this whole sort of like, what if the Terminator were anime, which I would love to see a Terminator anime.
I want to see Aliens versus Predator in an anime form. I mean, that would be awesome. Yeah. An anime xenomorph. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. Especially because we had that one cartoon that came out that was in the late 90s that was Aliens animated that was just so bad. I don't recommend.
Wait. There was an animated cartoon about aliens.
Oh yeah, and a toy line to go along with it.
I get the toy line. I mean, let's face it. If it's action-y, boys will usually buy it. That's how it worked back then, and it works today. If it's action-y, we boys want it. We're little warriors in our minds. But why an animated show?
Yeah.
It's a rated M movie. I mean, I always wondered that. They had, like, RoboCop. They had, like... I know they had, like, a RoboCop animated series, an Aliens. I mean, the 80s cartoons are just so bad they are awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, because there was, Mask, where they made a show around specialized vehicles that also were attuned to masks. I'm like, you couldn't make that show today.
I know.
But because cartoons were often just animated commercials, like with Transformers, and hey, it worked. I mean, like right beside me, I've got Omega Supreme that I recently acquired off a eBay auction.
Nice.
But the one good thing that the Aliens animation did was it introduced different xenomorph types, including a flying queen, which added a whole new dimension of fear. Because imagine you're on the dropship, right, and you're flying off this planet infested by aliens. You're like, we're safe. Suddenly,
let's get the nukes ready. It's like, wait, where's Johnson? Where's Johnson?
Right?
And it's like, there's something bad behind me, isn't there? No. What? It's in front of you. No, that would actually be kind of funny. It's like, there's something bad behind me, isn't there? Nope, it's in front of you.
Although they did have one really cool toy that they made for the toy line. This one guy who they made just for the cartoon, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you'll have to forgive me, but he got this giant mechanized, he got an action figure of a giant mechanized alien queen suit.
Cool.
It is probably one of the coolest toys that I own. I actually rebought again because, surprisingly enough, a lot of the toys from the series are dirt cheap on Amazon for some weird reason. I guess somebody just really wants to get rid of their packaged alien toys. But yeah, I mean, this guy has got this mechanized alien queen suit, and I'm just like, that concept makes my brain explode. It's so awesome.
Yeah, let's face it. We all love the scene with Ripley in the mech suit. Go in, get your hands off that girl, you bitch. Seriously.
Bitch.
I love mech suits are awesome, no matter what. Anime mech suits, cartoon mech suits. action figure mechs.
Gundam.
I don't know what it is. There's just something inside our heads that just make us go, commanding a machine that lets us smash stuff. Yeah!
You know, there's an artist who will build you for, like, I think $5,000 or something. Maybe it's more. I'm sure it's more than that. He will build you your own mech suit.
I as much as I would love to do that if I had the money, I have nowhere to put it. I live in an apartment.
Well, yeah,
I have nowhere to
rather
put it.
big.
But it would make for a very good conversation piece if I was able to fit it in. As a guest, I was like,
oh yeah,
"You got a mech suit. What's the mech suit for? Save it for a zombie invasion or alien invasion. You know, the usual."
Right. You know, just in case. In case the Zentradi decide to be real and come after us, and we forget the Valkyries.
So, what do you think of, like, some of the modern anime nowadays? You ever watch some of it?
I think the most modern of anime I'd watched before I just kind of ran out of time, to be honest with you, was like Erica 7 and what was that other one that was more recent that they'd come out? I was kind of going back and forth between Erica 7 and what was it? Full Metal Alchemist, which I really dig.
Oh, I love that one. It's like one of my top 10 favorites because it's such a mature storyline. And you know what else is interesting?
Oh, yeah.
This was written by a woman. A story about two brothers written by a woman. Ha!
That is nice.
Suck it, Anita. Suck it. And hell, they even had some good female characters there. Have you gotten to when they went to Briggs? They met Louis Armstrong's sister. Like
she
is terrifying.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was like, wow, she is going to be a formidable person.
She's as strong as, if not stronger than her brother. And that guy had so many muscles. Dude, I love it. The ancient Armstrong art of stealth. The ancient Armstrong art of drawing. The ancient Armstrong art of cooking a souffle without it popping. Why would that become a meme? That should have been a meme.
I know, right? Although they have that like 1940s picture of a shirtless guy doing the whole old-style boxing that somebody's made into a meme where it's like, Chuck Norris, never heard of her. It's just like, damn.
Oh, yeah. I think anime is still doing pretty well. I will admit there are a few more misses than hits than there were from the earlier days.
Yeah.
But then again, one could argue that I'm talking about the subbed anime. There were a lot of bad dubbed 90s anime. I mean, just look at Sage's Anime Abandon review and you will get what I'm saying. Of course, there's some pretty good bad ones, like Madball 34.
Yes. I loved that review that Sage did for that one. I had to seek that out just because of his review.
I know that. This anime is
the friggin' grenade.
Stupid. It is so stupid, yet it's just a good popcorn flick, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just have to watch just to see how insane it is. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just look up the Sage's review of it on thatguywiththeglasses.com. You will laugh.
Highly recommend that one. I love that.
I also enjoyed Voltage Fighter Go Kaiser. I mean, it was stupid, but pretty good action.
Oh, I own most of those fighter ones that he talks about. Although I have to admit, I kind of really gave Tekken way more credit than it deserved until I watched Anime Abandon. I was like, how did I forget that there were chameleon raptors that they were fighting for on an island that was about to explode? Yeah, I was like, what the hell? How did I gloss over that in my viewing of it?
That's a good question.
Although I will say probably the first anime to get me into slightly more adult anime, if I may, was Street Fighter. It was the Japanese cut of Street Fighter, the movie.
That's when there was more nudity.
with
Yeah,
Chun-Li.
that's the thing about 90s anime. It's just guts and tits, pretty much, a lot of the
Oh
time.
yeah.
I mean, there were some that
Oh
actually did it properly, like, say, Ninja Scrolls. Like,
oh God, I love Ninja Scrolls, and Akira did it pretty
I
nicely as
would say
well.
that
I mean, there's
Akira is a bit overrated, but it's still good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying people give it a little too much credit. Just take it down a notch or two, and, we're good. It's still good. Good. I
oh
mean, it's
well,
live
yeah,
action.
but some
That and it's
moments
the
are kind of
prototype of
like,
Mewtwo. Akira is the
oh yeah,
prototype of Mewtwo. Yeah, it's like, it reminds me of a joke that CR did when he was talking about, like, Porygon, and then he mentioned how Mewtwo was, like, one of the first, it was, like, trying to explain that Porygon might have been the first created Pokemon, and then it's like, okay, first created Pokemon that wasn't made by desecrating graves, first Pokemon that's not genetic, and then it shows, like,
mm.
artist's rendition of Mew, and it shows Akira. That makes so much sense.
right?
Okay, if you could make an anime out of anything, I bet you would want Mad Max as an anime. I could actually go for that, actually.
Well, for a while there, as part of the sort of reinvigoration of Mad Max, there was a studio that was going to be working on at Mad Max Animates as sort of accompany the new movie that's going to be coming out. I think 2015 is the new release date for Fury Road. And so but I've heard that before with a lot of other projects, because here's one project that blew my mind when I heard about it, but unfortunately never came to fruition. An Animatrix-style, multiple animation story, Terminator animated
Oh,
feature.
that would have been so cool.
Yes, with like multiple just like with Animatrix, it'd have multiple writers, multiple art styles. I was like,
That
yes,
would have been
yes,
or
more of that.
or do something with, like, Aliens and Predators. That would be cool. Like with Predators, have
Oh
like a
yeah.
silent movie style little story about, like, a hunter having to go through his initiation to become a full-fledged adult. Fighting something
Oh yeah.
big. I could totally see that. Or how about the only other one Animatrix style movie I've seen is the Halo Legends, which I think is really good.
Oh yeah.
I especially
Oh
love the
yeah.
Akira Toriyama parody with the Spartan L133T, I think. Or am I
Oh,
thinking of
the one
someone
that
else?
fell out the drops.
This is like the Dragon Ball Z parody one. I love it.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. That one was just too much. Yeah. Yeah. I liked and that one was balanced too. That Halo one, I thought, because it had a good mixture of like the really serious stuff that you'd come to expect, and then the really silly stuff,
Yeah, some of the goofy
like with that.
stuff. Also, Master Chief,
Yeah.
friggin' badass. By the way, have you seen the
Oh yeah.
that what's that live action Halo movie they did? The name.
Forward Onto Dawn.
Yeah, have you seen that?
Actually, I did not. I saw the featurette for it, but it's
You
just
can
again.
see it on Netflix. If you got Netflix, you can stream it.
Okay. Yeah, we got a family account, so I'll try and
I'd
stream
say
that.
it's really good. I mean, okay, well, it's not the best thing ever, but hell, just seeing all the Halo stuff in live action form just makes you go. As a
I
Brony
still
fan, as a Brony would probably say, squee.
right? I still wish we could have gotten the Peter Jackson Halo. I think that one would have been pretty friggin' awesome for a
Peter
live action
Jackson
film, but
directing a Halo movie. That would be awesome.
but now we got Steven Spielberg, who oddly enough made fun of video games along with George Lucas in a not too recent interview. And yet he's working on a Halo TV series specially for Xbox One. Mm-hmm.
Seems a bit hypocritical, but okay.
Well, yeah, well, because he's a filmmaker, and apparently he's taking a medium that he says never has good storylines or creates a reason for you to care about your characters. Eris. Final Fantasy 7.
Mass Effect.
And he's going to make, and yeah, Mass Effect. He's going to make a TV series out of something that he finds so abhorrent.
It's
I'm
just
just like, wow,
Anita
Steve.
Sarkeesian. I feel like Anita Sarkeesian all over again. At least when Roger Ebert said that video games weren't art, he actually listened to the people who called him out on it, and he sort of backtracked. He didn't, change his mind, but he at least admitted he didn't. He at least admitted he should have thought about what he said a little more. And I respect him for that.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as I said on the subject, in a way, it forced us to really think about our medium in a meaningful way when Roger Ebert said that, and it forced us to put us in a position of defense that really created this kind of talk that really got people to dig deep into what it is for gaming. There was some fucking band members, lead singer, who I wish I could remember his name, who probably came the closest to changing Roger Ebert's mind by his own admission. And this guy wrote this just very amazingly well thought out case for why video games are art. And I mean, I was like, if I were on the fence, that letter would have changed me. But again, I may not agree with Ebert, but I respect his positioning on it and his ultimate.
I mean, he was a film critic, not a gaming critic, so he didn't quite understand. I mean, and you know what? That's the beauty of opinions. We all have them. I mean, I'm not going to hate someone for having a different opinion. I am going to hate someone if they use that opinion stupidly.
Yes.
I think that's a good way to look at
or when
it.
They try to. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think video games definitely are doing a good job in showing that there is art. Plenty of games have stories that just make me think about myself. Like that one scene in Mass Effect 2 where you have to decide whether to brainwash the Geth who are against you to side with you or just plain destroy them. And I gotta say, that really does make me think and wonder. I was about to say brainwash, but then I thought, wait, is it right for me to brainwash someone even if they're against me? That actually had me set down the controller and think for a moment.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, because instantly you think, oh, well, I want him on my side, but would they have wanted it? Would it be better to die better to kill yourself than to be killed? To die rather than be killed? Or at least in this case, killed, mentally. It's actually one of those...
Yeah.
It actually was a pretty good ethical question that made me think. Now, I wish that they didn't make it so that brainwashing was good and destroying them was bad. I wish that both options were bad. That... I'm with, I'm with, with extra credits on this one. Make both options bad. It would have also taught you that even if you're trying to be good, you will eventually have to do something bad if you want to get to the end. It is impossible to be fully good in any situation in life.
Unfortunately, yeah. And yeah, I mean, that was probably my only disappointment at times with how Mass Effect was created, is sometimes what seems to be the objectively good answer, or at least the lesser of two evils, is oftentimes the bad choice. I'm like, no! Because I'm not trying to be Dick Shepherd, as it were, just like trying to be a tyrant against the universe, though. I've seen some videos where your body gets worse with the little glowing cracks.
Yeah, you look like the Terminator almost.
And so part of me really wants to go back and try to replay it with all the bad choices and just see how that would feel, because I played as FemShep. I love FemShep. Not that I have anything against, regular Shep.
Her voice actor is definitely a lot better than the male Shepard. She feels like she's actually putting a little more effort in. Not that the male one doesn't, but hers just seems, her performance is a little higher up like this.
Oh, yeah. And she actually voiced the main character in the Saints Row games after Saints Row 2.
Oh
And I
yeah.
like that too. I was like,
Yeah.
I was playing Mass Effect at the time when 3 came out, and then I picked up 3 and I played it. I was like, it's her,
I know there is.
because I was just like, yeah.
It's always nice to hear some of your favorite voice actors or actresses and other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Although when
I
it's a
usually
bad
have
voice
really
actor
good.
and actress, you're like, ah, damn it, I gotta hear them again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I have an ear for such things because I'm maybe I have some sort of undiagnosed OCD, but I'm a very detail oriented, and it's like it almost drives me crazy watching commercials on TV. That's kind of why I don't watch TV too much, because when it's a voiceover, I can be very certain about who's voicing it, and 9 times out of 10, I'm usually correct if I go onto like informational sites about like, oh, who did this commercial or stuff. Since you got sites for everything, like, oh, what song was in this
There's a
commercial?
wiki for everything now, if you think about it.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
but I like them
you were saying?
because if you're a music guy like me and you hear something you've never heard before that is maybe from a band you have never heard before and it's in a commercial, it's nice to be able to say, what was in this commercial, what music was in this commercial, and get a correct answer, and then be able to find it on iTunes and buy it.
Oh yes, the internet is is pretty awesome, but let's face it, it's also become a breeding ground for douchebags. It's the anonymity that
Yeah.
makes you want to do that sort of thing.
At times, yeah. I've been really studying a lot of psychology of the whole experience, because I've been trying to gain a greater understanding of Anita Sarkeesian's supporters, for instance. And then, it's like what Dangerous Analysis said in his recent video on the subject. These people, they don't want their mind to be changed, and it's really taken study for me to really realize that, as embarrassing as it is to say that it was right in front of my face, but I didn't see it
It
before.
makes sense. I mean, but let's face it. So we do these videos in order to sort of stop the spread of ignorance. We're not just
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to change your minds. We're trying to stop the spread of ignorance, essentially. And besides, as you said before, even if you only change the mind of one person, that's still good effort put. You still put in good effort. And a lot of us
I'd like
can't
to think.
wait for your video, despite the fact that so many technical problems. It's as if Anita is trying to will everything. She's just like, don't let it be complete. Don't let it be complete. Don't let it be complete. And why am I suddenly tapping into the minds of Dave Chappelle? It's very empty in here. I should stop. Oh, I love I like Dave Chappelle. He's a good comedian. But what I
Oh,
really
yeah.
like is
I love
Patton
it.
Oswalt. That guy is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And how does
Oh my
he...
gosh, yeah.
What I want to know is how he's able to do voiceovers for kids shows. He's done SpongeBob. I have seen him in... He is Dr.
Uh,
Dementor in Kim Possible. He's even in the PBS show Word Girl as the main antagonist. How does he do it? How does he go from, little kids shows to really, really raunchy adult comedy? As
well, I
CR
know,
put
and
it,
like, in a
gnome
way,
magic. CR said gnome magic. That's a pretty good. Ah, makes as much sense as everything else.
I wish, like, I wish Eddie Murphy would take a page from that, because when you watch Eddie Murphy Raw, from his Raw stand-up days, and then you see his newest movies now, and a lot of his comedy now, he admits that most of what he does now is for his kids. And I respect that as a single parent myself on some levels, but I'm like, you had so much potential. His comedy, Eddie Murphy's comedy, was so groundbreaking, and he's neutered himself. But like you say, Patton Oswalt, he still does like kid programming, but he can still go out there and make dick jokes, or jokes about being high on Halloween and somebody comes dressed as his character and it starts freaking him out.
Or my personal
Yeah,
favorite,
yeah.
Brett, his talk on religion, a giant.
Oh,
The reason why I'm so good is because there's a giant anus floating in the sky that if I'm bad, will suck me in and I will get devoured by shit piranhas.
yeah, yeah.
That
Oh God,
is
I love now.
that is essentially religion. That is essentially Christianity in a nutshell. Let's face it. Let's face it. That really is what Christianity is. I will be good, or else I will get eaten by shit piranhas.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I guess that's part of what turned me off at times with the communities I was with. I saw people who were just faux nice people. Like, behind closed doors, their real self came out, but when they were out in public, they were nice, and I realized that some of these people, they were just about scoring brownie points for the afterlife, or scoring brownie, and I'm like, look, I'm glad that you do these things when you're nice at times, but it's like you should want to do things because you genuinely have a drive to be good, not because you want to impress something or somebody. And
if there was a God and he was all-knowing, wouldn't he know if you were faking it?
Well, that's another thing that's to that. That's like, you know, because that's like when they say, like, oh, you atheists, you know there's a God, but you just try to deny him so you can keep sinning. And it's like, yeah, but if there turns out there is a God, that'd be such a waste of our time because we'd burn anyways because he would see through the fact that we didn't believe in them. You know, but yeah, and that's the other thing is I think those types of just faux good people.
Yep.
You know, there's a passage in the Bible about it. In fact, that I wish I could remember it off the top of my head, but it was talking about don't be that kind of Christian. That God will tell if you're being genuine or not, and if you're not being genuine, he doesn't want to kiss ass, despite what some people would say. He wants somebody who genuinely helps his creations out and or supports him or it in its glory.
Yep. Made me happy to hear that, you know, the Pope said that even if you're an atheist, if you're a good person, you can go to heaven. I'm just thinking to myself, that is the most open-minded thing I have heard from a creationist. I'm just like, dude, this guy deserves a thumbs
and
up.
You see,
like, I mean,
oh yeah.
And yet,
and you
there
see
are so many
how
people who are calling him a heretic for saying something like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking
Well, that's the odd thing is, some people won't call him a heretic. They'll just tell you what he really said. I've literally read an article of this guy going, I'm here to tell you the true translation of what the Pope said. I'm going, oh, you're one of them. Like, you know, like these Jehovah's Witnesses that when I was working at a car wash would constantly assault me with this, but we know the true meaning of the biblical passages. Only through us can you really understand God's word. And I'm going, what?
You know what I tell them? I tell them I'm in the Jehovah's Witness Protection Program.
I like that. I like that one. I'll have to use that one of these times.
Yes, I have never met a Jehovah's Witness, but I want to tell one that. I actually learned that one from TJ, the Amazing Atheist, in one of his videos. I can't remember which one, but that is just so funny, I have to use it. Honestly.
Right.
You know, I have nothing against people of other religions. You know what? It's nice to have not have everybody believe the same thing. It's nice to have variety, but never force it down someone's throat. Or at least make your religion more interesting. On the other hand, Christianity is essentially we're worshiping a snuff film. You know, think about it.
Right.
The most like important moment is a guy being tortured to death. Huh. This sounds like Saw.
I mean, if you take all the stories as a whole, the weird oddity of it all is, and trust me, Ken Ham, who runs the Creationist Museum, is bent over backwards to explain this one. we are technically the result, if the Bible's to be believed, of not one, but two mass incest events.
It's
Because
true.
you have Adam and Eve and all of their kids, but then you have to remember that during Noah's flood, only Noah's family survived the flood. Everyone else on earth died, which means that Noah's family had to get with some incest there for a second time to create the world's population. And I would love to have been there if this were true, when Moses was there for the birth of the first black baby, because I'd be a little curious about how that happened.
Yeah, I would actually love to see that. It'd be like, I have two questions, honey. I have two questions, honey. One, where did you find another black man? And two, why'd you cheat on me?
Right?
That's actually a really good question. Okay, I willing, you know what? Let's face it, when it came to evolution, I suppose we also came out of incest, even with evolution. Because, the first two species and all that, but we diversified enough so that it doesn't affect us as much. But it still raises the question with, the biblical one, where do we get the the skin diversity and so on? That is a good question.
It is a good question, but it's funny to hear the apologetics answer to the genetic puzzle of incest and inbreeding, because the reason why the Adam and Eve incest worked was because of the wall of water that was encompassing our atmosphere at the time, which blocked the sun's rays and kept the radiation away from our genetic code, because apparently it's the sun's radiation, according to apologetics, that creates the dangers of inbreeding when it comes to incest. So we were cool with incest with Adam and Eve because we had that wall of water that later crashed down
on
us.
Please
for the
stop. Please stop. I feel like I'm listening to the babblings of a crazy man on the corner. And this is what some people believe. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's on the plaques. On the Adam and Eve exhibit at the Creationist Museum. This is when I learned about, when I started realizing when I read the Bible, I was like, wait a minute, we're the product of two incest events. How does that work?
That is...
And then, of course...
that is just made of dumb.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That is... a wall of water? How would it even float in the air? I mean, even...
Magic.
Exactly, but then we're like, we don't believe in magic because of Harry Potter, so Harry Potter's the devil. It's like, but what do you call a miracle? What do you call God's miracles?
Well, and...
Smagic?
If you think... Right?
They call it smagic.
Well, and if... It's magic. There you go. But the almost irony of the whole homophobia thing, where they're saying that that homosexuality is unnatural, is I'm like, well, technically, so is your God. Your God has all these properties that are not found in nature. Therefore, your God is technically unnatural. So, in a way, if you call homosexuality unnatural, you're almost... that's not really an argument, because we can claim that your God is unnatural, but yet you worship that, yet you accept that. So why is homosexuality such a leap for you?
I know, right? I have nothing against gays and transsexuals. As long as they don't hit on me, I'm okay with what they do. I mean, I feel uncomfortable if they would hit on me, but I think that a lot of straight people would feel that way. It's not a bad thing. It's just that, Yeah.
Oh, I had a gay coworker who had a crush on me, even though I'm not gay myself, and I was actually flattered by it, which was surprising to me
because I'm like, oh, I'm a handsome man. That's actually real nice.
Right?
I would feel flattered, but a little uncomfortable. That's it.
I thought I would too, but oddly enough, like this person at least tested the waters with me, actually asked me out at one point, and I respectfully declined, and they were okay with that, and they backed off, which was nice. It wasn't like this rape fantasy scenario that some people have that this gay coworker waited till I was alone, and then to help recruit me, they raped me, which is the ridiculous.
Actually, that would probably have an opposite effect. I mean, let's face it, if I'm a woman and I get raped by a man, I would probably hate men for the rest of my life. I mean, and if I was a guy and raped by a woman, I'd probably hate women for the rest of my life.
Well, and that's the futility of this stuff going on in Africa that's known as correctional rape, where guys will go out and rape lesbians to make them more comfortable with the cock.
That
and
makes no sense. That would have a reverse effect. I mean,
well, in general, yeah, because it's like, oh, let's make them want the very thing we're traumatizing them with. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes as much sense as a solar-powered windshield wiper.
Right?
You know what's funny? I actually had a friend who actually did buy one of those. I'm not joking.
Oh, no.
He actually bought one of those.
Man.
He was that dumb.
Oh, Lord.
It took us a while to explain why it didn't work. Good thing he had the receipt. Good thing he had the receipt.
Oh, yeah.
So is there
But
any
I mean, that just
YouTubers
goes
on
to
here
show that, like...
So are there any YouTubers here that actually inspire you to keep doing your videos? Like, anybody you like?
Ooh. That's a good question. Actually, some of the biggest ones you've already interviewed. Certainly, Jordan Owens, Jordan Owen, excuse me.
Yeah, you don't want.
I have this habit.
You don't want to get killed by him.
Yeah, but Jordan Owen. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Jordan Owen, 42. Recently with Mundane Matt. In fact, him and I at times actually have a little back and forth here and there through the YouTube PM, which is kind of nice because I actually thanked him for the mention of me when he did the interview with you, and I was like, the fact that I would be one of the first names to come off the top of his head when talking about Anita made me feel pretty awesome. But there's James 1978 was definitely a big influence for me in my beginning years here on YouTube, and actually was one of the people who encouraged me. And Varmint Coyote especially, he's this wonderful, magnificent guy who has opened my eyes to so many things, and has also been an amazing friend to me, and is one of many people who constantly tells me never to give up when I talk about possibly turning my channel away from what I've been doing as of late into something else. And then there's so many names that too many names to remember as far as behind the scenes of people who constantly cheer me on because...
obviously your family support you.
They do and they don't. I've had a very fragile alliance with my stepdad, who is a born again.
I meant your immediate family, your son and your fiance.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, my fiance, she supports me. In fact, she wants to join me at some point, especially with my arts and entertainment channel that I'm starting to gear up to get set up. And because luckily I was able to secure the name I wanted for the channel, and I started doing I started doing graphics work for it. I already have the avatar up, which is funnily enough, I did a digital painting of the Call of Duty dog, but I have him smoking a pipe with a pair of intellectual glasses.
Yes,
I was just like,
yes. We will soon be noob tubing all the other noobs.
Exactly.
Get the hell away from me, or else I will snipe you in the nuts. I can do that. I'm a very good shot.
Exactly. And so, like, I don't have the graphics laid in yet, but I actually have the materials for my inaugural video, which is which I would have had out a little sooner because it was a review of Grand Theft Auto 5, but I'm doing it in such a way that it's, I really don't want to reveal what I'm going to do with it, but there's a lot of artistry that's going to be going into the video. So in other words, it's going to be a lot different than what people know me for on my personal channel, because this is going to be about arts and entertainment. So a lot more of my like movie rants, game rants, music, and TV show rants and things of that nature are actually going to be starting to be more on that channel, whereas my usual intellectual content's going to stay where it's at with the Bad Cop channel.
Right, and are you going to also try doing Let's Plays as well? 'Cause that'll be cool.
That is a plan. I kind of tested the waters with the farting around with 45 minutes of Grand Theft Auto 5, and I wished I had done that one slightly better, but I was just so awestruck by my first experience with Grand Theft Auto 5 that it was hard to really make commentary on it because it was just too incredible when you first experience it.
Hey, don't worry. Hey, we can get some games on Steam, I could definitely do a Let's Play with you. It's not that hard. Just set up a Skype call. Oh, I do a recording. We team up. We kick some noobs' ass in TF2.
That'd be awesome.
What are some games you would actually want to get, like, on Steam? If you could get them.
Well, there's that new Angry Video Game Nerd adventure that just came out that looks pretty interesting. I'm still wondering how Angry Joe got in that game, but
yeah, Angry Joe is in that game, and I'm just like, okay, I get maybe the bullshit man, his guitarist, Matt. Well, not Matt, motherfucking Mike. But Angry, okay, and maybe even, Pat the NES punk, crossover with him.
I could understand that.
I never understood why Angry Joe. I mean, I get he's another game reviewer, but he's not really a part of, like, the Angry Video Game Nerd mythos, except for that one crossover. And he can't really count that as much.
Well, maybe it was a nod to that. I don't know, but I was just like, okay, it's cool you're in this game, but why? Not that I mind. Not counting his last two reviews, I really like Joe, but
yeah, I think Angry Joe is a relatively even-handed reviewer.
Yeah, although lately, like, he's living up to his name. He seems a little unduly angry at fans and critics lately. The last two reviews.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like, yeah, Joe, that's great, but, you could have cut that out and had a great review, and I would have loved it.
I will admit the jokes with, like, the little car and everything, the whole chase, that actually made me laugh, and it makes me wonder what would happen. I mean, does he actually tell people around that he's going to be doing this, or does he just, like, surprise them, and everybody walks out and watches, or just like, what the hell is going on?
I had an idea of doing something like that myself, and I wish I had the budget to do a lot of the movie stuff that I want to do, or like small video stuff that I want to do. Because like part of me wants to do like Mad Max, but in Power Wheel cars.
Maybe try Hot Wheels. Maybe do a little Hot Wheels thing. Get some string and get some like fishing wire, tie it or glue it underneath, and sort of move them across the table or something. That actually could work.
It's just, for me, it's the juxtaposition of grown people and tiny cars that really, that for me,
endearing about it.
Yeah, as we saw with the Angry Joe review, I was like, I had an idea exactly like that, just not for a review, but I like that he invested money in that skit, because that really did make things.
That's what I like about Joe. When he does his reviews, there's plenty of entertainment value with some of the sketches, and the fact that he puts on all these different costumes and acting. I mean, he goes the extra step to try and make us laugh.
Or some of the behind-the-scenes, like with this Saints Row the Third review, where they show him going to the sex shop to buy the purple dildo. I was like, that's great.
Oh, God. Yeah, Saints Row is just... It's basically Grand Theft Auto, only more insane. I mean, Grand Theft Auto... I mean, there was sort of a divergence from San Andreas. It went from... once they hit Grand Theft Auto 4, it went from over-the-top comedy and action to a more serious story. They still had the over-the-top moments, but not as common.
Yeah.
Saints Row 2 and beyond took the left side, or, well, in my case, the right side on my screen. Yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah.
The more insanity I'd say definitely Saints Row 4 might be a little better than 3, but, once you get superheroes, it sort of overpowers everything.
Yeah.
It's all.
I kind of agree with Joe. I think they could have introduced that a lot later, but I disagreed with Joe because I don't know. I guess being a gearhead like I am, thanks to Mad Max and the like, I still enjoyed the cars as much when I had the superpowers, and
Would
so
have been kind of cool to get like a superpower to go with the car. Like, say, you can make your car, using your power, make the car, like, as strong as, like, a tank. So it wasn't
oh
break or something. So you can just
oh
like
yeah.
go cruising with your favorite music and just go smash everything aside.
And I like in Saints where you can jump into the car through the window and it ejects like the driver and stuff. That I really like compared to like Grand Theft
Oh
Auto.
yeah, and let's not forget about the purple dildo lightsaber.
Oh
That is
yeah.
just like, if it was used for its intended purposes, I'd be terrified.
Although I was bringing up that point when talking about Freddie. You've heard the controversy of Freddie Wong calling out
Yeah,
not
us
just
about killing female pedestrians. I'm just like, are you
which he
fucking?
changed from
You know
NPCs,
what's
which was
funny?
his original
You
tweet.
don't. In, these are the only type of games you actually can kill female NPCs. You ever notice that? If you go to other games, the NPCs are either don't have a gender or are male. You don't
Oh
kill
yeah.
women that often in games. And here, they're just part of the crowd. They're not as important. It's just
Well, I mean,
normal people.
well, and if you hear her, if you remember from part 2 of Anita's series, if you believe the way she puts it, almost every game contains gratuitous amounts of brutalization of women
And
because
here's the counter argument. Those scenes are, in fact, show they played an important role in the story. Because whenever you kill a man in the game, it's either they're in your way or they're an NPC who you just like bang, shoot, bang, shoot, bang, shoot. There's no dramatic death scene or them saying, like, holding a photo of their loving family saying, I'm sorry I failed you. No,
mm,
you just kill them. Whenever you kill a woman, it's usually in a cutscene and they played an important role in the story. Or if they're a boss character, and even then that shows a lot of empowerment because,
oh yeah.
you know, female bosses. And they tend to be the more frustrating ones because they tend to be the more clever or,
Oh yeah.
the ones that have more agility or, have the plan. You ever notice that? Female characters in a lot of games, when they're the bad guys, they tend to be smarter than the male characters.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. But honestly, Anita, she is just so infuriating. And the fact that she might not even be a gamer, it just shows how
Mm.
hypocritical she is of so many things. And just.
Very
I grew up
true.
with
Yeah.
games since the N64. I had an SNES, but that was just another toy when I was a little kid. I didn't get into games till the N64. You know what's one of my favorite games? Mischief
What?
Makers. It was a platform where you play a cybernetic girl and you get to go and save your master. Well, your creator. I
Mm.
don't know how the relationship worked. I never actually beat the game. Although it was funny
Mm.
in the intro where he's just like, almost leching over her and then she just goes, pow! Instead of flying. It is
Oh
hilarious.
yeah. I remember that now.
Why didn't they
Yeah,
ever
that
make
one.
a Wii U port of that? That would have been cool, because then when you can do the shaking, you can actually shake your pad. Just go, shake, 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 shake.
Oh, yeah.
That would get very annoying after a while.
Well, yeah, I could. Excuse me, I could imagine so. Because didn't they have that Wario game where you had to shake the Wii remote to shake the money out of the bags whenever you
I never
Wario?
played that one. I actually stopped playing the Wii, but I do want... Part of me wants... I'm actually having a hard time deciding if I want to get what next console I want to get. I'm not getting a new one. Not getting, like,
Mm.
a next gen, because, let's face it, PS4 or Xbox One, you still lose.
Yeah,
PC for the
opinion. Yeah.
win.
Oh,
But I
absolutely.
want to get either a Wii U, because I know I said not next generation, but I like to think it's on the middle of this and next.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that
And
assertion.
a
Based
or a
on my owner.
PS3, because a PS3 there's so many games on there I've never got a chance to play. And I want to
Oh
play the
yeah,
new Disgaea game. Disgaea D2. I
I've heard good
I
about that one.
love Disgaea. Even the female characters are some of the funniest. I love Etna, how she wants to always try and backstab Laharl. I mean, it's not even clever. She's blatantly obvious. Like,
Right.
sneaking up behind Laharl, and then he sees her just like hiding the spear behind her back. She's like, "Hi, Laharl. Do you mind turning around just for a few seconds?" And Flawed, the love freak, who's just, I love everybody. I love everything. You can still hold her own in a fight. Also, one of the best healers in the game.
I actually recently got into the ones like that. The was it gosh dang it, the hyperdimensional Neptunia
Ah,
series, which
that's a tongue twister.
yes, which I think is one of the best like written, crafted, and voiced games of that I at least I've played in recent times of the sort of RPG dungeon crawler types like there. And the game features the creator, who I know I keep butchering his name, and I know people are going to get pissed at me in the comment section, but Kuji Inafune,
Kuji
creator of
Inafune?
Mega Man.
Actually, I think that is
Yeah,
the proper pronunciation. Kuji Inafune.
Kuji Inafune. He's not only is he a special sword you can get in the second game, which I now own, but he also has this special power where his face was actually modeled into the game, and it comes down from this cloud as this uber overpowered special move that you can get if you do the right things to get him as
That
a
is
weapon.
nuts. I love
It,
over the top stuff. Like, you want over the top? Try Lapusel Tactics. You play a nun who hunts demons by kicking him into submission. I mean, she can smash steel doors down with her legs. She would give Chun Li a
nice.
run for her money. It's one of
I like offbeat games like that. There's this one from the arcade that was originally going to get a PSP port, and I'm sad that it didn't. Although I could see Anita's getting pissed off about it. It's a Namco title called Dancing Eyes. And what it is these Japanese ladies in different kind of costumes have a grid on them. And it's one of those, you connect four lines together and it makes squares disappear, but there's no nudity. There is bra and panties, which some people would consider nudity, but there's no nudity.
no.
But you're these little alien creatures, and you have to go around, and you slowly, square by square, can undress these ladies, but you've got this time limit, and you've got these other aliens that are trying to stop you, so there's strategy that's involved in it and stuff, and it is a bizarre game, because afterwards, like, the girls kind of pose for you a little bit, not too sexual, just kind of fun, cheesy poses,
Yeah, like
and
this. Ah!
it's yeah, just like that, and it like scans around it, and then you go to the next stage. And
It's
I
one of those kooky Japanese games that just make you go, WTF, what were they on?
yes,
I
yes, and
Oh, you want games like that? Suda 51 is where you're at.
oh,
Oh,
absolutely,
Shadows of
yeah.
the Damned, Lollipop Chainsaw. Fucking Lollipop
They
Chainsaw is awesome. I mean, let's face it, you're
it's
playing a cheerleader with a neon-colored chainsaw, doing cartwheels to Mickey You're So Fine, killing zombies.
with her boyfriend's severed head attached to her belt.
Who makes sarcastic quips. That's like
Yes,
what would happen if Evil Dead got gender swapped.
yeah, I
I want to
know,
see
right?
Ash team up with her. That would be a crossover for made in heaven. Just
And that's why I wish more game companies would do crossovers, not be so protective. I mean, look at Smash Brothers Brawl, like especially Smash Brothers Brawl with the single player campaign that you can
yeah,
do
that
and
was actually
everything.
pretty awesome to see all the characters work with each other,
Yeah.
interact. How some had different personalities and so on. Like my favorite is scene is when foxes, they're on the what's the name of the ship that Meta Knight has? Meta
Uh,
Knight's ship, and then He's about to
I
jump
know.
off. He like turns around. And he sees like Sheik and Princess Peach, sipping some tea. I'm just like, that is
Oh,
so
so
awesome. I just love
yes.
how calm they are. Just
Yes.
like, yep, it's another day in video game land.
That's why, like, I love the hell out of Peach in that one, because it just shows how just, like, nonchalant she is to the danger, because she's such a badass
She's
at
so
times. I'm
used
like,
to it. She's just
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
another day on the job. I bet she has her own like little bag. Like, Bowser comes. It's like, okay, just give me a moment to grab my bag. It has like all her, some supplies, like a couple spare dresses, like maybe a DS of a couple of her favorite games and charger and a couple of stuff. She's like, all right, I'll just leave a note for Mario to come get ya. Yeah.
right.
Are we having lasagna tonight? It's like, I could totally see it just becoming like part of a day job with Bowser. Just be like, yep, go in, smash door, roar, blah.
But, like, I could see, like, how interesting it would be to bring, like, say, Resident Evil and Silent Hill together, if done with the right
Actually,
teams.
originally,
Like,
Silent Hill was actually a Resident Evil game. It was supposed to be a Resident Evil game, but they started going more into supernatural, and they realized it's not going to work as well. So they made it into its own title.
that's interesting, because you know that Resident Evil 1 originally, you weren't fighting zombies, you were somehow fighting ghosts.
Exactly. So that actually would be an interesting crossover. See Leon team up with someone from Silent Hill. Maybe see Nemesis and fighting Pyramid Head. That would actually be kind of cool. I don't know how
God.
they do it. I don't know what would be the symbolism, but it would be awesome. Yeah, because the problem with using Pyramid Head all the time is because the symbolism is meant to be like, our main character's own libido and self-harming and all that stuff. So if you put him in another game, it doesn't work because the symbolism ain't there.
Sure.
That's the problem. Too much fan service.
True. And one of the less contributing members of that guy with the glasses, Dina, God, what does she call herself? Game Den, I think she is.
Never heard of him.
Well, like I said, she rarely contributes to the site anymore, which is too bad because she was one of my favorites on there. She does a lot of Resident Evil retrospectives where she goes deep into the mythos, and she talks about that both the nurses and Pyramid Head are overused because they almost no longer symbolize what they symbolized, considering what their original symbols by the creator's admission were about. Yeah. So now, them being there is exactly that. In later games, them being there is just fan service. They really have no...
That's one of the problems with the Silent Hill games. It caters to more to the fans rather than actually trying to tell a story and give us, art to look at. I mean, Silent Hill 2 is pretty much a work of art by psychology, trying to figure out these demons. Pretty much it's a Freudian dream. You could go with that. I mean, I would love to bring, Freud out, have him watch a Let's Play and have him be like, okay, what does this stuff mean? I would just love to hear his analysis, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's not get into the problems of Resident Evil 6. They should just go back to fixed camera angles. That alone would help.
Thankfully, with 7, they're going back to the drawing board, but to be honest with you, I think it's too late for Capcom, and that might not...
it is. I mean, let's face it. When you fight a giant mutant dinosaur in a game that's supposed to be about zombies and horror, you officially... You're not just jumped the shark, you've taken a dirt bike and jumped over 20 sharks to a flaming hoop. You did not jump the shark. You went beyond that.
You jumped the shark, found the shark's mother, had sex with it.
No.
Like...
How is Nostalgia Creek putting? This is not jumping the shark. No. This is jumping the shark, coming back, kicking him in the balls, raping it, eating his flesh, consuming his soul, and then mounting his head on the wall, and doing it all over again to 12 more sharks just to be safe.
Right? Exactly.
Yep. That's the nostalgia. That's Resident Evil 6 in a nutshell.
It could have been worse, though. They could have gone the Dino Crisis way and went to space. Although I actually like a lot of Dino Crisis 3, as much as people hate it. I like the whole Dino Crisis meets Event Horizon, Although I think they could have really handled that a lot better.
You know what they need a remake, HD remake? Parasite Eve. That's what happens when
Oh
you mix
God.
Resident Evil with Chrono Trigger. And you have an awesome protagonist.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Aya was such... That game just had me enthralled from start to finish. I could not put that game down back in the
Shame
day
that
on
the
the PS2.
sequels didn't turn out so well. Ugh.
2 was not bad, but yeah. And then they had... didn't they have a Yeah, they had a PSP release before PSP died out that was called something like Third
Yeah, that's
Birthday.
what it was. I watched the Happy Video Game Nerds review, and that's what got me to learn about it. And I gotta
Hmm.
say, I like Aya. I mean, she's a cop. She's smart. I mean, she's always
And
well
she's not
prepared.
overly sexualized.
Yeah, she's not even that sexualized, except in the promos. But then again,
Yeah.
product of its time, sadly.
Hmm.
And Anita Sarkeesian had to obviously ignore her or forgot about her, just as she forgot about Samus fucking Aran.
Well, it's lies of omission in terms of
Yeah.
logical
20 Bucks
fallacies
says
because...
that she is only going to mention other M. She's only going to mention other M, and at that point, it's only going to be proving that, women are subservient to men and cannot think for themselves.
Well, to be fair, Other M did rub me the wrong
Well,
way.
the
It did seem...
reason is because in Japan, culture works differently, how you're supposed to respect the people above you. Even if they make a bad choice, you still respect their decisions. Basically, in this, Samus Aran is showing great respect to her commander by
Mhm.
not doing things without his permission. That is how it works in Japan. Here in America, we want our people to be independent. Be independent and, strong-willed, to be able to think on their own self. So it doesn't translate well here in America. That's the problem.
Well, it just... For me, it seems so counter to her character. I mean, the commander thing was one thing, but, like, her practically wedding herself when she meets Ridley for the
Yeah, that
second...
also.
I'm like, that makes no sense. Why were you so brave in the first encounter, but you see her again, and that scares
Wait,
you?
Ridley's a girl?
Well, no, but...
That would be really freaky, because I'm imagining the giant pterodactyl with, like, lipstick and holding a purse. Like a little tiny purse. It's like...
Well, at least I said it correct this time. I used to go around calling her Ripley, and I used to like that because I used to feel like there was a connection between Aliens and Metroid, which there is, but the name is Ridley, not Ripley.
Yeah. Ugh. I gotta say, one of the scariest moments in any Metroid game has to be from... what's the Game Boy one? Metroid Zero? Or Metroid... The one where you had, like, where you had the blue suit.
Yeah, that was Metroid Zero.
Yeah, scary thing, that parasite that cloned you and took your suit. Just,
Oh yeah. Oh my.
there is just...
That
That is
freaked me.
terrifying. If they made that into a full-blown game, like a first-person game, could you imagine how terrifying that would be to hear the footsteps and just have to be like... yeah, just be like, looking around, freaking out. That would be
Right.
a real survival horror.
There could be a game in there like that. Like, take the good elements that worked, the really scary elements that worked from Dead Space 1, because that game freaks me the hell out, still to this day. I love it.
Yeah.
And mix it with Metroid, because, oftentimes a lot of the narrative of Metroid is they're studying the Metroids on some far-off, science installation in space, and suddenly the installation goes dead. And you got to go in there and figure out what's going on, and suddenly you find the place is infested with
have you seen
Metroids.
Dead Space actually, the animated Dead Space movies? They're not half bad.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I like, anime adaptations of games nowadays. They tend to do a pretty good job. If they could do, like, an anime adaptation of, I don't know, Fallout, that would make my day.
Oh, yeah. I almost want to, just found a studio to do the animation properties in anime that are never done. Like I said, actually make the Terminator Enter the Matrix edition actually happen.
I think a Fallout one would do nicely as well.
Oh yeah, and I really would like to see like an actual anime Road Warrior. In fact, to be honest with you, back in my college days in California, I was actually creating my own Road Warrior universe that was going to be anime in and of itself. But God, I haven't drawn like anime or comics in so long that it fell to the wayside. But like I was actually going to try to make that a reality without just taking Mad Max and trying to make him anime.
You wanted a whole mythos and story and universe. Something
Yeah,
you basically wanted to be the next Star Wars.
yeah, yeah, something along those
That'd
lines.
be awesome. Star Wars meets Doctor Who. That would be kind of cool to see the Doctor, in like the Clone Wars trying to help out. That would be
Oh
sick.
yeah,
Especially if it was like Tom
didn't
Baker too. Just
didn't
imagine
they
him
just?
offering like, I don't know, Anakin, would you like a jelly baby? And then just Anakin be like, what's it? What's jelly?
Tom's my favorite Doctor. Like that was my Sunday mornings was cinnamon rolls and Doctor Who, and I actually miss both of those to be honest
Oh,
with you.
you know what I got for my birthday? I
What'd you
got
get?
an entire DVD box set of every classic Doctor Who episode, including the
Damn,
missing episodes that were reconstructed using like storyboards, audio, and a few salvaged, material. I gotta say, watching
what?
the old classics with William Hartnell, it's it's like it's like a good popcorn movie. It's very subtle. It's like Citizen Kane almost.
Mm,
There wasn't a lot of action. It took a lot of imagination.
right.
Though I'm not gonna lie, they haven't aged quite as well as say the Tom Baker stuff. But
Yeah.
it's still nice to look and see the original first episode, The Unearthly Child. It,
Oh, absolutely.
oh,
Yeah, I always loved the Daleks. In fact,
oh,
I recently this at
I,
it's almost like a
one
Lego.
moment.
Exterminate, exterminate,
Exterminate! We will
exterminate.
exterminate them when this episode is over. Exterminate!
Yeah,
I love them.
I know. They're so, and even their Davros, the
Oh
leader of
yeah,
the
Davros is
Daleks.
such an interesting character.
I know,
You know,
right?
it's you know what the original Daleks were just originally supposed to be a surviving race of a nuclear war between two races. Now they went into this full blown, backstory and everything. It's just fascinating to see the
No.
evolution of characters.
And K9 was always my favorite. Every time he was on the show, I always was just like, yes, yes, K9's
Yes,
on.
K9. I always loved him, even though he was robotic. He did have a somewhat of a certain wit.
Yeah. Oh,
He knew how to do like a clever answer or something funny.
yes. It was great writing on there, you know? I mean, like, I'm thankful for having a background of like classic Doctor Who to draw on when I think of science fiction and things. So
Oh
I feel
yeah,
very
Doctor
fortunate
Who
that
is just. I am so excited for the news 12th Doctor. I cannot wait to see where he takes it. So I'm thinking that this Doctor is probably going to be more intellectual and less on the action. Because you ever notice that the older the Doctor, the less action they do, but the younger one tends to be a little more introverted and more you know, more fun-loving, as I could put it. Like look at
oh
Matt
yeah.
Smith, David Tennant, Christopher Elliott, Elliott, and all the other, and Tom Baker to an extent. He was pretty young at the time.
Oh
They were
yeah.
all fun lovers. They didn't,
I kind of like where they take some parts of the new one, like when I think it was at the end of Tennant's run when he was going to go into the regeneration, and he looks at the camera and is like, "But I don't want to change,"
Yeah,
and then he
no, it was
changes. I
I
was like,
don't want to go, and then he just
"Oh yeah,
releases all that
yeah."
energy, which
I was
actually
like,
makes sense
"Oh
because it would make sense that he would release all that energy. He's trying to build it up, hold it back. Out of
mm,
I can only think of a few, only the only doctors I could think of who did not want to regenerate. The second doctor did not want to regenerate, and he was forced to because of his banishment from the
mm,
Gallifreyans, leading to third doctor, obviously.
mm,
We don't have any information on what happened with the eighth doctor, but according to like the comics and other extended universe, he died alone and scared. Which could
Dang.
explain why the Ninth Doctor, acted the way he did. He was a war survivor. The whole Time
Mhm.
War and everything, it does make sense. And of course, David Tennant, for two reasons. One, he was like almost as popular as Tom Baker in his heyday, and then the
Right.
fact that he did so much he didn't want to lose his personality.
Mm.
There actually is a lot of good. You know what I like to think? I like to think of the Doctor as almost like Jesus. Think about it. He's came back from the dead multiple times. He goes around helping people. He is basically the last son of, of a dead race.
Mm.
Although there is one question. The first Doctor had a granddaughter. Whatever happened to her?
Mm.
That's a good...
I should probably know that since I'm very steeped in a lot of the original Who, but I don't
You
know.
should. Maybe they
Probably
should try bringing her back.
would be nice, yeah.
Would be an interesting thing. I mean, that didn't stop him from bringing back old characters in K9.
Oh yeah.
A nice...
And I wish I had
Oh,
that, not just because of the time travel capabilities, but because it's so immeasurably large inside the TARDIS. I always loved the TARDIS.
yeah. You could have just
That's
about
probably
anything in there you want. Like a billiards room, a swimming pool, a
yeah.
sauna. I could totally see, like, the Doctor just relaxing in a sauna. Like, maybe Tom Baker. He's, like, shirtless, but he still has his scarf and hat on. Just like,
Yeah.
yes, this is very nice. He's just dipping his hand into a bag of jelly babies.
Oh yes, very nice.
Yes.
It once blew my mind because I think I remember in high school seeing Tom Baker playing Rasputin, so that would probably explain why I have a bit of an affinity for Rasputin.
And yes, this is a replica hat of Tom Baker's.
Nice. Nice.
Yes, I plan on getting the scarf soon, and yes, I'm dressing up as him for Halloween.
Oh, nice. I'm very
Plus, this is a
jealous. I
nice
just
going out hat as well. I mean,
true.
people say I did look good, and they seem to like my Scatman parody while wearing this.
It was pretty good, I gotta
I
admit.
will be doing Scatman's World on the 3rd of December. And yeah,
Nice.
that's when he died. I like Scatman John. He was actually my hero. He's one of my heroes.
Nice.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he used something that was a problem and turned it into his greatest strength. His stuttering.
Ah.
Yes.
That's always nice to see stuff like that,
Yeah.
Because, slightly related, there's this Kickstarter that somebody sent me to recently that I've been meaning to do a video on about this, speaking of some disadvantages as some people would see it. There's this Asian American actress who's been trying to get roles that are not stereotypical of Asians. But instead of, like certain people we could mention, trying to force Hollywood to change, she actually asked for a Kickstarter so that she could start creating roles for people, for herself and people like herself.
Oh.
Give people who don't normally have a chance to maybe be a lead role and to be something that's not just a stereotype, to be something different. So she's actually trying to be the change that she wants to be and using what some would consider a disadvantage, being Asian, to be something, to use that to her
That's
advantage.
actually
And I
very
like,
nice. It's actually nice to see stuff on Kickstarter happen like that. I don't think Kickstarter's a bad thing. It's just that some people
yeah.
use it wrong.
Oh, absolutely,
Very
yeah.
easy to
I,
abuse.
sadly.
But hey, with Kickstarter, many games, many stuff has been made and helping out. I mean, just look at Faster
Well,
Than Light. I love that game, and that was a Kickstarter game.
and Mighty Number 9, Inafune's sort of new way of making Mega Man minus Mega Man, since I'm guessing he doesn't have the IP rights to his own
Which
character, which...
doesn't make much sense. You'd think you would always have him. I
Oh,
mean, it's
yeah.
kind of hard to imagine
Well,
like what would happen if Walt Disney lost the rights to Mickey Mouse. I mean,
right?
how would he make cartoons? Ricky Mouse? Hi, I'm
But
Ricky. I'm Ricky Mouse. Please don't sue.
But Mighty Number 9, not only did it reach its goal, it reached every one of its stretch goals to the tune of several billions of dollars that he gained. And what I like about that is it showed Capcom basically, exiled Inafune and wouldn't let him finish the Mega Man games he had in production, as well as berating the fan base. And look at where Capcom is versus where Kuji is at right now,
Yeah,
because
pretty much, fuck you, Capcom. We don't need you.
and it just shows that they thought, oh well, we'll throw Mega Man to the wolves, And look, Kuji is making his own kind of Mega Man, and now he's even going to have it on all the consoles. Now there'll even be a 3DS version, which I plan to.
That me too. I
oh
plan
yeah,
on getting that too because there aren't a lot of 3DS games I actually want. That's the problem.
oh yeah.
I mean, of course, obviously, I got the 3DS for the next Pokemon game that inevitably was going to come. Here's a question.
Oh yeah.
Why haven't they made a new Pokemon Snap game? I remember on the N64 playing Pokemon Snap and loving it. Put it on the Wii U. Give us the function to use, like, the controller, like an actual camera. That would actually be so cool.
Oh, it would,
And then
absolutely.
you can, like, have online, maybe have a website that you can send them to, your pictures to, and you could show off them to other people. That would actually be a nice thing.
And it would integrate with this whole idea of social media, because then people would want to use those features so they could show off, like, oh, look, I found Bulbasaur, oh my god!
Bulbasaur, and look at him eating the fruit I threw at him. It's so damn adorable!
Right.
Oh god, I remember spending a lot of money for the stickers. I remember you could actually, play Pokemon Snap and take your photos and put them on stickers and everything. I remember that when I was a kid. That was awesome.
That almost reminds me of the Game Boy camera back in the day, which I think was actually an awesome piece of tech, to be honest with you.
For the time, definitely. I mean, nowadays it's definitely outdated, but well, it's basically the prototype of the 3DS camera.
Oh yeah. And of course, there was all those what the fuck pictures from the test.
Oh god, that is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Why would you create that? What is wrong with you?
It's like Watership Down. Why would you turn this into an animated movie for kids? Why?
I actually liked that one because it was
I like Watership Down. I don't like the fact that it was marketed towards kids.
Well, okay, yeah, to be fair, that's not a kid's movie,
I
but
remember watching the animated Hobbit, and it would show like the commercial before. I remember seeing a saying like talking about like the Return of the King, Flight of Dragons, the Nutcracker, and then when they get to Watership Down, a tale of a burrow of rabbits trying to find their way to a new home. And it doesn't show anything bad; it just shows them like on a piece of raft going down the river. I'm just like, oh, that's so cool.
All the cutesy stuff.
I know. I wanted to watch that. I didn't get to watch that until like earlier this year on YouTube, and then I'm just like, oh, God, what is wrong with Europe? What the hell is wrong with this? I mean, it was a good movie. It was well animated. It had a great story, but it should not. Some things should not be animated.
I don't know. I like cerebral cartoons, and that's a very cerebral cartoon, if we're to be very honest about it.
It will make you think. It is meant to be a thinker's man type thing.
And I guess because I spend so much time in my headspace, a thing like that, even as a young kid, even with how terrible some of the sequences are, and they are terrible, I enjoyed the philosophical side to that a great deal, and I would like to think that I got a great deal about. I took a great deal from it, growing up with stuff like that. Because I guess like my mom was not like the typical mom, although she's the typical grandma, which is so ironic. But like I grew up with very few filters on the movies and the animations and the things that I got to see. I mean, obviously, it's not like my mom showed me pornography or anything, but
you were pretty free to get from rated G to PG-13, essentially.
Yeah, and we
we used to subscribe to like HBO back in the day when those were really worth subscribing to and everything, and like old MTV with all of its really bizarre animations, which I'm like, why are you not doing this anymore, MTV? That's all we ever talk about with you.
Yeah, I remember when MTV used to actually have music videos.
Yeah,
Yeah, remember when
and
MTV
so
used to have music videos? What's a music video? We're like, what's a music
oh,
video?
but get this. The head of MTV says, "Oh, but there still is music on MTV. It's just different now." I'm like, "No, it's not. 16 and Pregnant is not a music video. It's not MTV's The Grind or the VJs or all the
It's a
things that
cry
made."
for help.
Well, yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's not a music video. It's a cry for help. Just like
Help,
the
yeah.
Loading Channel putting out Honey Boo Boo.
I'm like, the only thing they've done of recent that is of good mention is they brought back Beavis and Butthead, which I have not had a chance to watch, but I've heard from hardcore Beavis and Butthead fans it is as good as the old ones were.
I've
So,
never been a fan of Beavis and Butthead, but I'm not going to go and bash it. Maybe it's because I
mhm.
was a little kid and I just did not enjoy that kind of humor. Maybe if I rewatch it,
Grant.
I might enjoy it for its, it's not the most
But like,
intellectual, but hey, it might be well written stupidity. Like, there's a
right?
difference between, terribly written stupidity and good, well written stupidity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference.
But I mean, like, Liquid TV was such a mind-expanding mesh of animations. You used to have a little bit, like a little blurb of a computer animation with early computer animation. Then you'd have like the Eon Flux shorts where you didn't know what the hell was going on, but you wanted more because it was just so crazy, the action scenes. And you just had stuff that people never do anymore.
I know. I think
That's so,
you know what? Screw movie Bob. The '90s were the best time of my life.
hell
I
yeah.
mean,
I
oh God, I miss the '90s. I remember watching a BuzzFeed. I remember seeing a BuzzFeed Geekly page where it was like It was like all this old stuff, these old school stuff, like Legends of the Hidden Temple, the old spoons you got in, cereal
oh,
boxes that you actually got toys in, all sorts of
I know.
old sugar drinks that they don't make anymore. I'm just like, God, I feel old.
I
It's
know,
it's
right? But
funny.
then you're just like,
It's funny. Ever since the advent of good computers, technology, we basically jumped a century ahead of what we were originally. If we didn't have
mm,
computers, we'd probably be stuck in like I don't know, late '80s, maybe early '80s esque technology.
probably.
Yeah, it's
Because, like, I mean, like, this in and of itself is a computer, and you
yeah.
have to
This
think that
is
the
better than a warehouse computer. This thing has more processing power than a warehouse computer. That's just
true. But you have to remember, the inventors of the computers thought the computers were going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and instead,
only the 7 richest people in the world would be able to use one.
yeah, that they'd get bigger, they'd get more expensive, like that, like, and if that were true, we should have a state that is a
No, no,
computer by now.
no, an
If
orbiting satellite that is a computer, like a little Death Star computer with like a HAL on it. Be like, be like, connecting you to AOL. Oh, remember dial-up? Remember
oh
dial-up?
yes, too. Oh yeah. Like you're trying to do a research project for school, and you're praying nobody calls you because it'll just knock you off. You're like,
Oh
or when
God.
forget YouTube, just getting a JPEG to load was enough to where it's just like
Oh God.
now
I'm starting to
loading.
feel old just remembering all this.
I know you and me both.
But it's
I'm
just so
just
nice to think about the nostalgia. I mean, it was a
oh
simpler. I think the '90s was probably the best time span because we had enough technology that it helped us, but not so much that it controls us.
oh yeah.
If we lost all the technology at that time, we wouldn't have died. We wouldn't, be in a big problem. We wouldn't be like freaking out so much. We would actually be able to live on our own.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Also, the shows were probably a lot better too. I mean, there's still good shows on nowadays, but the cartoons of the '90s versus the
Yeah,
cartoons of today.
I miss Saturday morning lineups,
Oh
like from
God,
it'd be.
yes.
I remember the old like claymation bumps. It'd be like, after these messages,
After
we'll be
these
right
messages, after these messages, after these messages, we'll be right back.
back. Yeah.
Nostalgia Critic needs to do another commercials episode. I like that one. I
Oh
like
yeah.
this. Also, fucking Bubbles! Fucking Bubbles! Yes! That should be the name of a product. Fucking Bubbles. I
Right.
mean, that would be awesome. Oh man, it's honestly, nowadays shows are just catering to lowest common denominator. Ugh, and
Hmm.
Honey Boo Boo. Why is that on the Learning Channel?
Well, why was Kate plus 8 on the Learning
I
Channel? I
don't
mean,
know.
they've had a long downhill slide. Trust me.
I know. I mean, Discovery Channel just got better and better. I mean, especially with MythBusters. Oh God,
Hmm.
I love the MythBusters. Those guys are
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
You know what else? I actually saw them before MythBusters. They used to be on BattleBots.
Huh.
JD had a robot called Blendo. It was like a top that spun, whereas Grant and Mahara had one called Dead Blow.
Huh.
Yeah, they were on BattleBots.
I used to watch that one a lot back when I still had Tech TV. Back when that was still a
Oh
thing.
yeah, Tech TV before it became G4.
Hmm.
Remember when Tech TV used to actually have good shows for gamers? Like I remember
Oh
Cheat,
yeah.
which gave you like not only told you the cheats, but showed you how to use them, the effects, game
Oh
tips.
yeah.
There was Arena that was cool to see all the different competitions and so on. Pretty
Yeah.
entertaining. There were all sorts of
And the personalities they had, like not just like Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler that everybody knows, but like fuck, they had that weird guy, Dick. I think his name was Dick Sargent or
Dick
something like that.
Sargent.
Well, I remember his last name was Sargent, but I can't remember what his first name was. He was kind of the weirdo of the shows. Like they just bring him out. They wanted somebody to just do crazy stuff, and he used to do some crazy bumps. Like when they had that movie that they were going to play about the computer that wants to impregnate a woman so that it can be born into this world, and when the climax of or the ending of the movie is the baby ends up being alive and it says in its computer voice, "I live." And they had the sergeant guy in it.
What the fuck kind of movie is that?
I don't know. They used to play a lot of fucked up
Yeah, my
movies, which
Dalek
was
is just like, what the hell is going on? He's just like,
right.
what kind of movie is this?
What
Error,
kind of movie
error, error,
is it?
boom!
Exterminate, exterminate.
I love blind bags. I just love these things. And the Doctor Who
Oh
stuff ain't
yeah.
half bad either. I mean, it's well constructed.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not that hard to make a Dalek.
I like that this is like Lego like too, since I'm
I
trying to
know. I would love
do
to
some
see these
sets.
chase some Lego figures around.
Well, actually, I've got a whole bunch of the minifigs that I've been collecting to start do some stuff for DeviantArt that's compositions using Lego. And ever since I found this, I'm really itching to do some stuff with
Oh
this.
yeah. Maybe some stop motion would be kind of cool.
Sort of. There's this guy who does these really awesome, like, what do you call those? Macro photo shoots using Lego figures in different settings. Sometimes he'll do it outside, or he has his own set that he's built. And he does calendars and shirts, and he makes crazy money off of doing it.
Nice.
And so I was like, you know what? I've got all these Lego minifigs just taking up space. Might as well try to do something with them that's a little bit more. Now that I've got the Doctor Who, I've got to do something like... Well, that...
Lego minifigures used to actually be just generic, like Ninja or Pirate or Explorer or Castle. Now it's all like, it has to be licensed. I don't like that.
Well, I like the blind bag ones they do beyond the license stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
I've done enough blind bag Legos. Goes to show that I got some pretty good ones. I got like a warrior woman, a skydiver, a tomahawk wielding Indian.
Oh, nice.
Just look at my blind bag videos and you'll see.
I got the box robot, the one with the turnkey on the back.
Cool.
I really liked parts too. So.
Cool. I even have an ogre. Got an ogre with a
Oh,
club
yeah.
and everything. Grrr.
I mean, that's the one advantage they have to the expansion of the minifigs is like you've got Hulk, to where Hulk in the minifigs isn't just the size of the other minifigs where you're like, really? He's actually his own sculpted minifig, what they call what do they call this? God, they have a name for it. I know it because they have that new Lego Marvel superheroes game coming out later this month.
Really?
And they've made a whole bunch of mega characters that are not just Hulk, but Hulk-like characters that share about the same kind of body mass in the Marvel Universe that should be pretty interesting.
Like also the Mega Blocks. They're not that bad. I mean, I like how they actually do stuff that Lego doesn't, like Halo.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I have a whole bunch of the Halo, especially like I bought like the Halo weapon packs and stuff because I like that they do what Lego won't.
I know. I mean, they're not as good as Lego, but hey, at least they're compatible.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Trio Character Builder is another Lego ripoff, and they're not that bad, but
I like the minifigs. I don't like maybe the big sets.
The minifigures, like I got a pretty cool Transformers one.
Yeah, I've got several of those as well that I'm going to try to do something with.
Maybe doing blind bags yourself might be a good, different thing to do. Like, you know, if you want to put out a video, but you don't feel like ranting, just open up a blind bag and, you know.
That's a good point. I also was getting into this thing that these people do that is incredible, and it definitely takes a lot of art and dedication. These people will buy a whole bunch of Transformers, and then they'll create their own Transformer masterpiece out of a whole bunch. Like one person took the Dinobots and created a way that they could combine into one giant, like, you know, like the constructors.
Super Grimlock, hear me roar. That's the only Dinobot I know, and I don't think anybody cares. We just love Grimlock.
Yeah, Grimlock.
It's fucking
awesome.
Grimlock.
Me Grimlock, me king.
Me gonna smash you and then teabag your body. Wait, what? Ah! I would actually love to hear Grimlock on Xbox Live. Me Grimlock, me angry that you no-scoped me. Me Grimlock, I hate how you spawn camp. Me Grimlock, me teabag your face.
Me Grimlock, hate NoobTube.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Man.
See, because I like it when people actually have the ability to do the voice and do like the thing where they spam like Xbox Live. I don't mind the ones where people use clips, but those aren't as good as when it's natural, when somebody's like quick-witted and will do like an Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Xbox Live thing. But they're actually...
It sounds a lot more natural, not to mention it's a lot more hilarious as you can make them say even funnier stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, there are so many. So what? I gotta tell you, it was nice to have you on this show, but I think we've talked more than enough. We're definitely gonna have to talk again because you are awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. You're pretty cool yourself. I'm glad that you discovered me and started talking to me. So.
Well, hey, no problem, dude. So as always, I'm Bren Tenkage, and you are
Badcop69.
Thank you, and we will see you later. Bye.